Yo, this is Zoe Williams from the Smoke and Mirrors podcast. I want to introduce you guys to my friends, my brothers, Chase, Infinite, and of course, Crondon in the building. This is our inaugural episode, and we want to invite you into our personal lounge to get into some of the deep conversations, but not too deep. And we want to talk a little bit about our smokes. Let me introduce my brothers real quick. Chase.
Peace, everybody. How you doing? My name is Chase Johnson, Chase Infinite, commonly known as. Excited to bring you guys to the first episode of Smoke and Mirrors, when we uncover everything and remind you that everything is not what it seems. And excited to have you guys here, talk about some smokes and get into some deep conversations.
And of course, Crondon. What up, bro?
My brother. My friends call me Crondon. My name is formerly Marvin Jones III, but my friends call me Crondon for those that know, for specific and special reasons. And I'm happy to be here on the Smoke and Mirrors podcast. Like my brother Zoe said, it's our first one, first of many.
Yes.
And I'm excited. We've been talking about it a long time, and we've manifested it to fruition, brother, and I'm excited.
Amazing, amazing. And then our special guest is in the building, legend.
Oh,
we gotta put that on there, right?
Oh, no, for sure.
I mean, lyrical legend. Like, that's
legend
not
in
even in question.
So many respects, not just the lyrics, but
Yeah,
yes.
but that's not
legend.
even in question at this point.
Yes.
Our good brother, Crooked Eye, is in the building.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Excited
Yes,
to be
sir.
here. Very excited to be here and de-virginize this excellent platform.
Pop the cherry. So real quick, we are all, one thing we have in common is we're all cigar enthusiasts, and we're all smoking something today. And I want to know, what are we smoking? What you smoking, Chase?
Today I'm smoking a very special brand called Definition out of Texas. It's a black-owned brand called Definition. I'm smoking a box press of their cigar called a 919. It's an Ecuadorian Maduro with a Nicaraguan filler and a Nicaraguan binder.
Nice, nice. Crondon, what you on?
Like me, that's my Corsican brother there, so I'm on the same height and smoking right now of Definition cigars, a brand who I've been following, but on the West Coast, we're not able to get them.
Really?
Yeah, they're rarely available. I haven't seen them. Chase, have you seen them?
I haven't seen them out here.
You said they're regional then, basically.
Yeah, well, they're out of Texas,
Texas.
black-owned brand, but I just don't think that they've made it to retail here just yet. You can get them online, of course.
Right.
But my point to that is that I've been looking for this brand for a long time. Me and my brother was recently in Atlanta together, and we found them. And yeah, I'm smoking the Definition. It's called the Prolific, the yellow band. And,
Nice.
And their band work is incredible, too. It's really unique. And it's an Ecuadorian Habano with Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler. It's a great stick. This is probably my third one in the last couple of days.
Crooked Eye, what you on, brother?
It's all good, man. Actually, I'm smoking this Lampert.
Yee.
You know what I'm saying?
Is that
The
something?
Lampert by Don Patron.
Yes.
Now, I don't even know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? But it came highly recommended by my brother.
So
I'm
this
about
your
to
first
give it a
time?
try.
Crondon,
Okay,
Crondon
all right,
actually
all right.
gifted that to you, right, Cron?
Yeah, Crondon gifted this to me.
I'm those that know, y'all brothers know, because we smoke together all the time.
Yeah.
And I can't keep raving about Lampert cigars.
Lamperts are
They're
amazing.
one of my favorite brands. I discovered them in Budapest, and that particular, they have, a few cigars that I like. The Rojo, the Toro version, Vitola of the Rojo, but that particular cigar, they got another cigar I love called the El Gringo. But my point, that cigar, the Don Padron by Lampert Cigars, was, I would say, top 3 cigar for me last year.
Yeah.
By
Out of
far.
Austria, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. And
What's the blend?
the blend on that, brother, godly, I want to say it's Costa Rican.
Oh, yeah. That's
I
a
believe-
luxury
I believe-
smoke.
I believe, yeah.
That's
I believe,
luxury.
That's luxury
and if I'm
smoke.
wrong, please correct me. Shout out Stephen Lampert. We've been talking a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The owner of Lampert Cigars. So, Stephen, if you're watching this, forgive me. But no, I want to say it's
Costa Rica.
Costa Rican. Yeah, with Nicaraguan filler in there.
Nice.
It's not like the strongest smoke, but it is. I would say this. It's the most Cubanesque
For sure.
domestic that I've ever smoked.
For sure.
It's
Yeah,
right
before.
on. You'd think yes, but I'm not going to even put too much hype on it because I don't want you to look at me
Select
and go, "Bro, what
Tobacco
is
out
this?"
of Costa Rica makes some incredible cigars, though.
Yeah.
So I know Costa Rica is pretty
Well,
much like the
you-
new Cuba.
You know, because you put me up on as far as the whole thing with the factory
sure.
there that makes the
Select
Atabey,
tobacco that
that
makes
makes the Atabey and the Byrons,
and the
right?
Byrons, yes, sir.
That cigar's made at the same factory,
Okay, so Select Tobacco. That's I'm
right?
I'm
that's Costa
jealous.
Rican, right?
That's Costa Rican for sure.
Well, I really
same
appreciate it.
factory that makes the Atabey and the Byron makes that particular cigar. So
And I'm on the Matapa,
Okay.
Nick Molino, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is my first time
Foundation.
having this. Foundation cigars, you know, they have a lot of great smokes.
Oh yes, sir.
This Matapa, I think, is a Ecuadorian
Mm-hmm.
Sumatran wrapper.
Yes.
I think it was rolled by AJ Fernandez.
Yes, sir. Well,
Matapa is,
yeah, I think he does the tobacco for sure, but I don't know if he actually rolled it, but it's in his factory.
Yeah, his factory. What do we have here? This Matapa fella is a famous Nicaraguan poet.
Poet, yes, sir.
You know, so we're going to see what it's about. It's got some Nicaraguan in it from the Esteli and Jalapa, so I'm sure it's going to be pretty good.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be ready. You make sure you get some water and have
Connecticut
have that at your
broadleaf
disposal.
binder. Let's see.
Let's
huh?
see. Let's see what
Let's
we get into.
see. Let's light up, brothers.
Why not?
where's my?
I'm going to have to use Chase's lightsaber. You might as well pass the lightsaber
Yeah.
on down.
Yes, man. This is my Hacksmith Mini Saber. It's a hit at all the lounges, and it does the trick.
Oh, it's going to do the trick.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
I'm gonna use my little liquor store bought torch.
Hey, man. Them liquor stores come in handy when you know what I
Brother,
mean?
when you let's hear. When you get in
Yeah.
your car wash and you want to smoke a cigar, brother, and you
Bro.
ain't got a torch.
What?
It
Listen,
does the trick.
listen, Crook.
Dog,
It
I
does
just
the
did,
trick.
I just did that Friday. I went to the car wash.
Bruh. That's how I end up with this one, bro.
It's went straight into the liquor store. Like, let me see if they got a torch in there. They end up having a cool little selection too. I said, oh, I found me a new little spot.
He
You
said,
know what I
okay,
mean?
you can go. It has some cigars in there
What?
too.
They had a
you know
couple
what's
of 'em.
crazy? When you run into it, Jack's, is that on Olympic? Jack's liquor store on Olympic has had a humidor forever, and they always got a really good selection of sticks in there. I'd be surprised, but it's. I'm always surprised, but they always got some really good sticks in there.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go to Jack's. I've been you and Ag told me about Jack's.
Man, I'm telling you something else. It's not a bad thing at all.
Oh, this one different.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, the Matapa special.
Oh, I see. This one, okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pepper right off the top. Yeah. This one's different. This got some cocoa, some chocolate in it. Yeah.
You know, Foundation makes an incredible cigar regardless. And that's that and the Centager, which is a cigar that he made that basically all the proceeds go to Ethiopian charities
Nice.
and to help in Ethiopia because, you know,
Yeah.
Nick is huge in Ethiopia. He's a huge proponent of everything that's going on in Ethiopia
Nice.
and giving back to that economy and that community because they support him so much. He's got Haile Selassie,
The tabernacle.
Tabernacle on his
Yeah.
band for the Tabernacle, which is
Yeah.
one of my favorite cigars, and he's just a quality individual.
Yeah.
You know, a very cultured man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So Crooked Eye, man.
Yes, sir.
Give us some insight into your world, man. When did you start? And what do you think the body of your work says to the world, people who are listening, people who want to tap into your perspective?
I hope it says integrity.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of roads that you can go down in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different types of music you can make. And when I discovered the music that I like to make, it's not always the music that's the most popular.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you got to make that decision that, hey, I'm going to stick with my art in this way, whether it becomes successful or not.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's where the artist integrity comes in. And then, you know, I started when I was a kid, man. My mother she didn't have much,
Mhm.
but she had something that was more important than money, and that was the love for her son to really push and support my dreams.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So she bought me boom boxes with her last money.
Mhm.
You know, she bought me tapes and cassette tapes and posters of my favorite artists. And she even bought me studio time when I was a kid. I used to go to the studio when I was like 8 years old.
I'm about to say, when you say a kid, like how old? 8 years old is really a kid.
Yeah, I was really a kid.
Seriously.
Yeah,
you said she bought
that's
you
where I got
studio
started.
time.
Yeah.
That just sparked my spirit in such a way. What if you don't mind me asking, Crook, what did you do with that studio time at 8 years
What
old?
was you rapping about at 8,
Yeah.
brother?
The
The rough,
Thundercats.
tough, and dangerous.
right. RTD.
RTD. For those that don't know,
Rough, tough, and dangerous. That's
Okay, it was
right.
I'm saying?
RTD.
I had a song called The Controller.
Mm-hmm.
And
you remember it?
CONTROL I spell. The beat is a hammer and the rhyme's a nail. And I'm driving it into your rhythm cell. That was when I was...
At 8 years old, this
Come
man was
on.
a better lyricist than most people are
Right now.
at 35.
right now, right?
Hey, bro. But I looked up to all the greats.
Mm-hmm.
You know
I'm
what
about
I'm
to say
saying?
that reminded me, and I hope that reminded me of something like L.A. Sunshine or somebody from the Treacherous Three. That scheme,
feel me?
It was complex, but
But it was...
you understood it right
yeah,
away.
man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started off early. I had a whole lot of support from my mother, and you know, my older brother, and my auntie, rest in peace, her twin sister.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that foundation is what gave me the push, and I just kept going. And then as life starts to lifen,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I
Amen.
mean?
Right.
You might stray a little bit, you know. But I always knew in my heart that I was put here to be an MC, a messenger of some sort. You know what I mean? Like, I just always knew, no matter what I was doing in life, I always knew that I was supposed to be a MC, man. You know what I'm saying? So
A messenger, you said.
Yeah.
yeah,
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. That's the word. You go ahead, please.
No, I was going to I was going to make a statement. Number one, when you have a solid foundation, when you have love, when parents pour into you, children tend to do better, period.
amen.
And, you know, we get our attachment style. We talk about this a lot in the lounge.
Indeed.
We get our attachment style from our primary caregiver, which is typically our mom.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a mother that loves you, that dotes on you, and believes in you, and pours into you, man, you set right in terms of how you're going to move forward.
Yeah.
And like you said, yeah, you're going to make mistakes, but eventually you're going to come back to the foundation that was laid in the beginning.
Absolutely.
So that's a blessing on that side.
Yes, sir.
But on the other side, what is your message?
Mm-hmm.
I think that I allow life to ghostwrite for me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my message usually has to do with the way I see the world,
Mm-hmm.
my own personal experiences, and things that I would like to see.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And delivering it in a way that's artistic, not just saying it. I have some, you know, songs and poems that are blunt,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just getting straight to the point. But a lot of times I just like to deliver the message in an artistic way and use different tools in the writer's toolkit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And but back to your question, the message, I'm learning what it is as I get older.
The message is a process.
The message is a process. So
Right.
if I had to describe the message with one word, I would say love.
Nice.
Mm.
Nice.
Wow.
You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Nice.
That's the ultimate message. Even when we're talking about things that happen in the street, if you make a song about your homeboy who got killed,
That's
you
love.
made that song because you love him.
That's
Right.
love.
Right.
Yes.
Expressing
Right.
love.
That's
You
good.
know what I'm saying?
Which a lot of
That's
times
good.
we always talk about this. We talk about these subjects a lot in the lounge that we go to, Drobe over here in Inglewood. But we always talk about, you know, love being the highest form of understanding,
Yeah.
right? So even if you you haven't formulated that understanding, like you're expressing these feelings, trying to get to that understanding
Right.
and trying to get it out so that you could, you know, eventually understand the love that you have for whatever it is, whatever topic you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. That's beautiful, man. And I think ultimately anybody that considers himself an artist, or at least the good ones, right? That's the center that they express from.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if it's, you know, a love for tearing another MC's head off.
Oh, we love that too.
We love that too, right?
I know you love that too, for sure.
Smokey
For sure.
Robinson, she said it best, right?
Yeah.
Smokey Robinson said music was made for love, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is like my brother said, beautiful, brother. That's amazing.
Yeah,
For
appreciate
sure.
it.
But it also explains why, you know, you could hear the effort that you put into writing, right? Even though it may come to you easy, the way that you express and the way that you rhyme actually is, you can tell that's based off a lot of love and for the art form, for sure.
Absolutely, bro.
For many years.
So who started you smoking? Or who was the first to smoke? You, Tupac, or Suge? Which one introduced the others to the...
That's a great question. That's
Yeah,
an amazing
yeah,
question,
but
by the way.
that's a great question.
Actually, man, Suge introduced me to my first Romeo and Juliet.
Is that right? Is that what
cigar,
Suge smoked?
Churchill.
Suge smoked Romeo and
Cuban,
Juliet?
though. The Cuban version of
Yeah,
Romeo.
the Cuban.
Oh, yeah, no, he was,
That's
come on,
different.
Suge, Suge had
Suge
too
ain't
much
messing
money.
with that.
Yeah, that's
He wasn't-
different.
In
Yeah.
Nicaragua wouldn't pop it like that.
he wasn't-
No, Nicaragua. He said Nicaragua wasn't popping
Not
yet.
like that. Not like
He
that.
wasn't, yes.
It was
yes.
still
Get some
coming
real
up,
bread.
right?
Yeah,
for
you
real.
didn't get that at the average cigar lounge. That
Oh
Romeo
no,
joint.
he had a private little stash, man, and he introduced me to that. You know what I mean? And I don't think he gets credited for a lot of this is a positive way to relax.
Yes, sir.
It's a positive way to engage in conversations like we are right now.
Oh, for
Yes, sir.
sure.
Meditative.
Meditative.
Yeah.
So, I'd rather speak about the positive things that I experienced at Death Row Records.
Oh,
That's
no,
all
for
we want to
sure.
hear.
That's all we want to
That's
hear.
all we want to hear.
And a
about.
lot of people don't
Give that
don't
brother
know
credit.
how much, how charitable he was.
Oh, man.
They don't know about him fixing nurseries that burned down.
Oh,
Wow.
come on.
They
Talk
don't know
about it.
about him sending children to see their fathers who are incarcerated.
Wow.
Tell us. Come on.
Yeah.
There's so many things. I was so young, man. He didn't have to let me sit in the room with Leora Cohen or Russell Simmons. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't have to let me soak that game up as a young artist. Because a
Right.
lot of times a record label will try to keep an artist dumb, deaf, and blind.
100%.
Go ahead.
Talk about
So,
it, man.
he was different. He was
sure.
a different type of executive. And, he struck up one day and I'm like, man, what you smoking every time, man? And he was like, Romeo and Juliet, truck, we gotta relax sometimes, you know what I mean? And I met him at the Beverly Hills Hotel one day and we sat there and smoked. And I remember going home thinking, that was kind of cool. I kind of like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Having a real conversation over, because a Churchill, Romeo and Juliet, a Cuban Romeo and Juliet to Churchill, that's a 2-hour
That's
smoke.
2 hours.
Yeah,
that ain't
you gotta sit down.
30-minute smoke.
Yeah,
you got to
that's 2
sit
hours.
your
You gotta
ass
sit
down.
down.
Yes,
2
sir.
hours.
Yes, sir.
And it's very good. I'm
No,
sure.
it's amazing.
you're talking about
Especially
Cuban.
then. What year was that?
That was in he got out that was 2002.
Okay.
Yeah, around 2002.
Oh,
and
yeah.
up until 2004.
Oh, you got
Yeah.
some
Okay, so-
years. You got some years under your belt.
I was
For sure.
I was on death row. He was still incarcerated when I first got to death row. So
Right.
he came out in 2002. And yeah, from that point on, me and Suge was just rocking.
And,
I always wondered that because you've been so synonymous. And we've known each other for some time, and
Yeah.
you're always synonymous with having that, a big stove, a real cigar. Because we spend a lot of time on the other side of the smoking universe. You know what I mean?
Right.
We was putting something else on our cigars at one point.
Hey.
We no longer do that. We no longer do that. But this is our thing now. But Crook, you've been synonymous with cigars, and one of the younger brothers that I know that really were a tobacco enthusiast for a long time.
Yeah, bro.
So I always wanted to know that. Always wanted to ask
And
you
really
that.
quickly, when did you guys start smoking?
I really
cigars?
started probably for the first time really 4 years ago. Me and Crondon are synonymous with cannabis for a long time. You know what I'm saying?
hence the
So-
name Crondon.
Yeah, hence the name
Don of
Crondon. So, yeah.
And then there's that.
Yeah.
Crumdelicious.
Right.
When did you start, Cron?
Me, I would say about 3.5 years ago, consistently. I had smoked cigars before, and even in my early 20s, coming up in LA, before I was even doing music full time, I was in the music industry on the side of promotion and marketing, and retail and radio, mixture
I
radio.
remember you out there on the street team. Don't get it twisted.
and the crew that I was running with, cats like, people in the music industry know these names, very well, like John Randolph.
Yes.
Of course, John Stockton, who put
Yeah.
me in the music business.
Yes, sir.
This is the 90s, Puff Daddy, Cristal, and shaking,
Yeah.
bottles
Wu-Tang,
and
Mobb Deep,
Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep,
Alcoholics.
all of that, right?
Yeah.
And John and Paul Stewart, if you know music, you know Paul Stewart, would do these elaborate parties, man, where you had to dress up in tuxedos, and hold shiny bottles. And and I'm in my, late teens, early 20s at the time. And they would give me cigars and I would smoke them. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't know how to smoke a cigar at the time because I was smoking weed.
You was dizzy as hell.
I
You
would get
inhaled,
sick, bro. I
didn't
would be
you?
drinking champagne and smoking a cigar.
You inhaled.
Like I was smoking
He was out there.
a big fancy blunt, and then I'd end up throwing up the whole morning the next morning.
Yes.
So that was my start. But then a few years ago, when I had kind of evolved out of cannabis, I have to say it was an evolution process. I had evolved out of even the craving for cannabis and the want for it, and then someone gifted me a box of cigars for my birthday, and I decided to try one on my birthday with some Japanese whiskey. That was my thing, and I was actually by myself when I did it. Like I had waited till everybody went home from the birthday dinner, and I was at a hotel in Santa Monica. I sat on the balcony and smoked a cigar and had some Japanese whiskey, and at that
The
point,
light came on. It was
the
it.
light came on. Like, yo, I didn't even realize that. And like to what Crook was saying, what you were saying about the length that it took, smoke that Romeo and Juliet Churchill. I had maybe a Toro. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
Actually, my first cigar. Forgive me, but the time when I sat there and I did not realize that an hour and a half had went by, and I had thought and contemplated on the year that I had prior to that birthday, and that was it, bro.
Yeah.
You was like,
I
I'm
smoked
on.
a cigar. I've been smoking a cigar every day since.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm on.
Every day, the like you said, the relaxation, the positive relaxation
Yes.
from it, and it gave me three things that it was conscious relaxation, conscious contemplation,
Mhm.
and conscious meditation.
Right.
And of course, and I would add, like when I got around good brothers like yourselves who also smoke, it became conscious and positive conversation.
Right.
And for me, like I say, man, it's become my favorite hobby. I don't look at it as a habit so much.
Probably more than a hobby now, brother.
Well, it was more habit. It's a hobby. It's a business. It's a lot.
Probably
but
more than a hobby
Yeah,
at this point.
It's now a lifestyle, my friend.
This stage of the game.
What about you, Brother Zoe? When'd you start smoking?
I came into cigars, it was a spiritual process.
Okay.
In 2018, I was initiated into Ifa.
Okay.
I got my hand of Ifa, I got my warriors, and it was part of the spiritual initiation where, I guess I was, it was determined that I was a child of Eshu. And so the sisters was like, yo, you got to smoke this cigar and blow this smoke
Okay, so
out.
wait, explain that just
explain
a
it to
little bit
the
without getting
viewers who
too
might
deep.
not
So,
know what you went deep.
so Eshu, how are cigars or the smoking of cigars related to Eshu in the Ifa system?
Well, and it depends on the region.
Okay.
In Africa, Eshu and cigars don't go together.
Okay.
But in South America, cigars and Eshu go
Okay.
together. Eshu is the gatekeeper.
Mhm.
He opens the doors,
Okay.
right? So all initiation and all ritual start with Eshu. You want to open the way for prosperity, for communication, for understanding. You got to go to Eshu first. You got to feed Eshu. And so the sister told me, here, take this cigar, blow it, and then blow on all of the implements.
Okay.
And I had a friend, homeboy Eddie, he was like, yo, man, I saw him smoking, and I was like, yo, what is that about? And he was like, yo, let's go to a cigar lounge. We went to a cigar lounge, Drobe Stogies
Right.
in Inglewood, and I started to meet people and started to understand the culture. I didn't do what Kron did. I did not inhale. I was on the Bill Clinton side of the game.
Good for
I did
you.
not inhale.
Yeah,
yes,
and there were
you-
people there like Lon. You guys
Yeah.
know Lon. And
Right.
Lon was like a tutor, a mentor to teach me. She was like, the more you smoke, the more your palate is going to develop. And
Right.
And it was, you know, all of the things that you guys mentioned, man. I was like, man, this is settling me down because I was, you know, very hyper, you know, mind is always moving. And this was something that could cause me to sit
Mm-hmm.
and think
Mm-hmm.
and organize. Because prior to that, I never smoked or drank anything. I still have never drank anything.
Right.
Yeah. Amen.
So, you know, that's been my introduction into cigars, and it's been a wonderful ride so far.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yo, I'm really enjoying this discussion with my brothers,
Mm-hmm.
Chase Infinite, and of course, Krondon, as well as Legend, Crooked Eye in the building. Listen, first off, I want to let you guys know where we are. We're at Slick Studios. And if you don't know what Slick Studios is in LA, of course, that's the legendary Hooper, Baron Davis. We have Baron Davis spot. This is
Shout
an
out to
amazing
Baron.
environment. Shout out to Baron Davis. But Krondon, you had a very, very powerful question for Crooked Eye, and I'd like for you to, you know, peel that onion a little bit.
Okay. Crooked.
Yes, sir.
You know, we talked a little bit about your time at Death Row, and I love, you know, what you were speaking about, the positive connotation of being a part of something so legendary that is Death Row Records for the West Coast, and the misconceptions about Suge Knight individually. But your career and journey has been a unique one from our point of view, and you know, for those that know your work, which is millions that know your work, and they might not know this in particularly, but what we're curious about is to be a part of something, you know, again, that's so pivotal as Death Row on the West Coast, right? As an artist, you were. As an executive, you were. And then to later on switch and then be signed to Eminem and Shady Records and have a groundbreaking, what in my opinion was one of the best groups at that time coming out, you know, of hip hop, Slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
That was in my opinion extremely groundbreaking. Some of the best lyrics that you want to hear by far.
By far.
You know, as a
Thank you.
collective at
Yeah.
that time, with you, Joel Ortiz, Joe Budden,
Yeah.
and Royce the 5'9", who's our brother.
Yeah.
To me, Royce is one of the greatest.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I mean, you got 4, you know, guillotine level MCs
Yeah.
in one group, signed to one of the most guillotine level, you know, prolific artists, that is Eminem and Shady Records. But my question again is what was that pivot like to go from there to Shady, and how did you navigate that as an artist and as an executive?
It showed me that people don't forget about nothing, bro, because it was actually some years in between my going from Death Row into Shady Aftermath. But when it happened, it felt like I was on Death Row Records Monday and Shady Records Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It seemed like you took off a Laker jersey and put on a Clipper jersey.
You feel me? And
Right.
or maybe a Celtic.
Celtics,
know,
not
Celtics.
Clippers. Right. Because they was winners like a motherfucker. They was winning like that. So probably Lakers and Celtics, equal amount of championships over
equal
there.
amount of championships.
17.
Sure.
17. I got
Right.
you.
Yeah, so it was a teachable moment for me in my career. It taught me that if you stay on your craft, anything is possible. I remember it like it was yesterday though. So when we signed, we did a short form contract first, just to lock the group into the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were going to do the long form later. So we signed the short form contract on the set of the video shoot Forever. Hype Williams directed this video. It was M, it was Drake, it was Kanye, it was Lil Wayne.
Remember that joint? Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's for a LeBron film or something?
That was for
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So that's where we signed our short form on the set of that video.
On that video set.
That's a huge fucking
Yeah.
moment.
That's
man.
crazy.
That's a big
moment.
deal.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy because if you look at M, when he's spitting his rap, we're all standing behind him, but people didn't really peep that because they didn't know what was going on. It's
Right.
like, what's this about to be? But anyway, when we signed it, some of the executives from Shady Aftermath pulled me to the side and they said, "Yo, how does it feel?" And I said, "How does what feel?" And they said, "Going from Death Row Records to Shady Aftermath, how does
Wow.
that feel?"
Which is Dre adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, there has been historically, some, I don't want to say beef, but historically, I guess we could say some
Animosity.
industry beef,
Yeah.
Right.
between Death Row and
Disagreements,
Aftermath.
beef, whatever.
Disagreements,
Turmoil,
you know what I mean?
whatever.
Turmoil, all that
Discord.
jazz.
All that shit.
You feel me?
Discord, whatever you want to call it. Right,
So,
right.
To go from there to there, they like, "Yo, how you feel?" I said, "Yo," I said, "I feel great." You know what I'm saying? I don't know how you want me to feel. I feel good.
Yeah.
Right.
I got another job.
Right.
The raps are the same, though.
You know, and I sat and I thought about it, and I said, how did I pull that off?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause that's what I want to know.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what we want to know.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is loving the craft.
Mm.
In between me when I left Death Row, I did something called Hip Hop Weekly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was about to say that those years you were talking about, I was like, man, you just came, that was Circle of Bosses, Hip Hop Weekly, so many things that you just forced everybody's attention. It was like, there's no way in the world anybody could deny you at that point.
Right.
So it's not
Man.
like you were idle during that
No,
time.
hell
No,
no.
I wasn't idle.
No.
No.
And I think, the Hip Hop Weekly series,
How long did you do that?
I did it for a year.
Yeah,
So-
that was incredible, bro.
I'm sorry. I
That
don't mean
was
keep cutting you
incredible.
off.
Go
That
ahead.
shit was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it was it was the first time that somebody made music and released it once a week for an entire year. It was the first time.
Yeah.
Um,
And this was not to cut you off, brother, but this was in the beginning of the big blog boom where
Yeah.
where blogs became the
Hip hop was really going online.
Yeah, it was
Right.
hip hop was going online, and that was the main source for new music. And this is before streaming services were
Yes,
popping
before-
and all of that. So go ahead, please.
yeah, this is the blog boom, and you know what I mean. And it was unheard of. Like,
Yeah.
people that I knew. Like, I remember I was telling Irv Gotti about it. I was like, "Yo, I'm about to do this." He's like, "You gonna get that music away for free and once a week and that many records?" You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
are you crazy? You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of people felt like, what is this kid doing? But delivering those high quality lyrics once a week, rain, sleet, or snow, and making mixtapes on the side
Right.
and dropping EPs and writing for other people. While every Wednesday I gotta give y'all at least 40 something bars
Right.
Mhm.
on any given Wednesday. So all that output that people saw made them say, okay, this dude's pen is on another level.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the reason why I was able to go from Death Row to Shady Aftermath. Another reason was I stayed true to who I am. And that made the transition kind of easy because I got Suge's blessing.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Mhm. Mhm.
He was like, "I'm glad you over there." He said, "Because you're a lyricist and nobody over here understands your lyricism as much as Eminem will."
Mm.
That's crazy.
You
So
feel me?
the
Crazy.
fact that, and that's another thing people don't talk about in regards to Brother Suge, is like the level of musical understanding that he had. Right? People always like, he has his public persona, or his the one that's really known is obviously of an executive and some of the other stuff. Right? But
Right,
people don't understand how much he really understood the music and hip hop
right.
and the different levels of hip hop and what that actually meant.
Yeah.
So him actually acknowledging that, man, it just validates something that I know,
Right.
right? Even though I've never been in close proximity working with him, but I know brothers that have worked with him and been signed to him, and they always talk about like it wasn't just some executive. Suge was actually
was
into
savvy.
the music. He
Yeah.
was savvy. He knew
Yeah.
what the hell he was talking about.
And you know what? I have to mention this because one of the things that was instrumental in Slaughterhouse getting the Shady deal, period, was a record that DJ Khalil sent me.
Okay.
DJ Khalil
Shout
sent
out my brother DJ Khalil.
Shout
Yes,
out
sir. DJ
shout
Khalil,
out
George
DJ
Foreman.
Khalil. He sent me a record and he was like, you working on your solo, here you go. And he was working with a band,
New Royales.
New Royales. And they had a hook on this record. And I said, this record is crazy. I had the studio in Glendale. I just put that push play, and I never heard something knocking in the speakers like that. Like, however he EQ'd those drums
Crazy.
was really scientific. For real.
Pun intended.
Pun intended. You already know. And he really tweaked them. Man, I was like, yo, this is crazy. And then when the hook came on, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So instead of me using it as a solo record, I call up, the Slaughter, like, yo, this
I
need
got
to
this
be
record.
on our
Right.
on our,
Oh, that's
album.
dope. I
You
never
feel
knew
me?
that. I never knew
Nice.
that.
And
That's
we
crazy.
did a record to it called The One. And our first album came out on E1. Shout out Alan Grumblatt. That's when our first album came out. So we did that. We did a single to that song, produced by DJ Khalil. And later on, Eminem told me, yo, that was the record that made me say, yes, I need to sign these guys.
That's crazy because
Wow.
Khalil went on to, he's worked with Eminem on almost every album
After that.
since then.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
to be
Absolutely.
honest with you, like, for real.
Yeah.
So
I
shout
never-
out Khalil, man.
And
Yes.
shout out Crooked Eye for giving the alley-oop to our brother.
Exactly.
For real, for real.
Yes,
So
sir.
really quickly, let's tap into these cigars real quick.
Okay.
What are you picking up on your cigar? Flavors,
Man, this definition,
nuance.
well, first of all, Definition is a very Maduro-forward company. I mean, if you look anything up online, they talk about it all the time. So the Maduro is always going to give you a light pepper note. This gives me more of a white pepper, not a black pepper. So it's a flavorful pepper. I'm getting a little cocoa and a hint of coffee. I just finished a little bit of coffee, so the coffee may be still on my palate a little bit, but I'm getting a little bit of coffee. It's I'm almost in the last third of this, but it's an incredible cigar.
Nice.
Shout out
Crandon.
to Definition and El Titan DeBronze, who helps them make their stuff.
Brother Cron, what are you picking up on yours?
I'm picking up a lot of brown sugar, brother, on this cigar. It's a brown sugar spice, if that's even,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if that even makes sense to the viewer. This is a brown sugar spice, so it's like I would say it's like the graham crackers that have the cinnamon on them.
Yes.
The cinnamon, those were my favorites back in the day.
Okay.
So it's like
Okay,
a
so
graham
you
cracker cinnamon
You
bomb.
co-signing this one because
This
yeah.
one, bro.
Oh, no, we co-signing Definition.
Definition.
Big
Shout out to Definition and brothers. What they doing out
Yeah.
of Texas is really good. And it's giving me a nice coffee note to go with my coffee here. And man, not too strong, but not at all a punk. It's not weak at all.
It's not
no
weak.
way, man. It's good.
What about that Matapa? Tell us about that foundation.
Man, it started off hella peppery,
Right.
which, a lot of people don't like a lot of pepper, but I like it. But a lot of chocolate,
Okay.
a lot of cocoa, some earth. Man, it's tasting really, really good. And you know me. This, if we were in the cigar lounge, this would have been done about 20 minutes ago.
20 minutes ago.
Right.
I'm trying to, keep
I
my pace.
always mess with Zoe because I'm like, man, Zoe be blowing through the cigars, bro. We be lounging. I be on my first one. He lighting up the third. Like, what is going on right now?
Getting it in.
So I'm taking my time with this one, but it's very, very delicious. I would say, to steal your euphemism, I would say this is a chocolate bomb.
Right.
Okay.
I love it, man. I love it. And the Lampert, Don Padron. What does it taste?
Smooth, man. I feel like you say with the peppery, just a little, but this is so smooth, bro. Like this is like a Maybach with cherry wood grain inside.
I love that. I love the
that.
fact. Shout out to Satoru Tobacconist, our brother, who we be doing some stuff with. We'll be talking about that too when some of these episodes coming up. But he's huge in the art of maitre d' and hospitality. And because he's a person that really knows tobacco been in his family 100 years. So when I'm writing reviews and stuff for my little Instagram page, I always, ask and talk to him about stuff. Because the last review I did was his stuff. And he always refers to cigars and food. So usually you hear people talk about cigars, they're like, oh, it's leather, it's wood, it's hay, and all that. But when's the last time he always say, when's the last time you chewed on some hay?
Yeah.
When's the last time you actually took up a piece of wood and put it in your mouth or something like that, right? He's
Right.
like, you're really talking about food, because you eat all day and the flavor really comes from food. The fact that you described it as, that's what lets you know it's luxury.
Yeah, it's
you
luxury.
You got to pay some money to be in a Maybach with cherry wood.
You
Oh my
underdig?
God, this is luxury.
You
Luxury
underdig?
smoking. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
Compliments on my brother Cry. What's up?
Man,
So let's tap into some meatier things.
Okay.
Are y'all ready?
Let's do it.
Y'all ready to tap into this? So it's all over the internet. Everybody's talking about it.
Okay.
Even Cat Williams alluded to it in his big interview with, Shannon Sharp, Club Shay Shay,
Uncle Shay Shay.
Uncle Shay Shay,
hmm
about the Illuminati
Right.
in the music industry, in the entertainment industry, and occultism and all of this. I have my own particular take on it. You've been in the game for a very long time. My brothers have been in the game for a very long time and are very successful.
Currently still in it. All of us, yeah.
So, again, what are your thoughts on that? I was an A&R guy. I worked for Madonna.
Yeah.
I worked for Steve Rifkin at Loud Records.
Yep.
I worked with KRS-One when he was an A&R at Reprise.
Yep.
I worked with Kool Mo D. I worked with a lot of people too.
Right.
So I ain't never seen no rituals or nothing like that. So
Right.
I'm trying to understand, like, do you, from the time you've been in the game, have you ever sensed like something demonic or something?
Or some secret society.
secret society,
pushing
like-
buttons.
and you've been around some high profile players in the business, and not just from an
Absolutely.
artist perspective, which you have, but from an executive perspective. So-
Exactly.
So, please, if you
I mean,
elaborate on that.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And there's a yes, ladies and
there's a
gentlemen.
yes.
There's a yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you
Crooked Eye says
expound
yes.
a little bit on what
I
you've
just think
experienced?
that it's like any other space. You're gonna have people who are doing strange things.
Yeah.
You're gonna have people who are trying to control it.
Yes.
You're gonna have people who have power, and if these couple of folks have a conversation, they can shift things.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I think that, see, to me, when, they talk about the Illuminati, they talk about selling your soul. There are some stories that I've heard about people, actually doing ritualistic things.
Really?
Wow.
I've heard those stories.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that you have to pass certain tests in order to get access to even seeing any of that.
Right.
Right.
And, you don't even know when you're being tested. So,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? You probably feel it because you're not even knowing you're being tested, and
Right.
you just never get that kind of access. But I have heard about that, and I've heard about, people. To me, selling your soul is more about going against your moral compass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For fame and attention and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think that's where we get the term, sell your soul. It's like, you're going against everything you believe in for 30 pieces of silver.
Compromising yourself.
Go ahead.
You
Yeah.
feel me?
Yeah.
So that right there, yes, that goes on. I mean, this is the industry, man. Hollywood has a dark side.
Right.
Absolutely.
And, I don't know everything that goes on in the dark side because I'm on the light side.
How about
Amen.
that?
Go
You
ahead.
feel me?
Then
So,
there's that.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
but yeah. And it's not even scary or spooky to me. It's just like everything else. It's like politics.
It's life.
It's life. It's the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
It's
right,
like
right.
you're going to have
We
people.
know some diabolical people, you know what I'm saying, and have to grow up and be around diabolical people. I would agree with what you're saying. And from my experience, I have seen some things that could be deemed as rituals, right? I mean, but it depends on, what you deem a ritual, right?
Right.
Some people, like we started the segment off to be you talking about Ifa,
Yeah.
and not all rituals are necessarily demonic, so.
Yeah. When a Catholic priest is walking through with
That's a
the
ritual.
with the frankincense,
That's a
that's a ritual. When you're eating the bread for communion
It's a
and
ritual.
drinking the grape juice,
Rolling,
that's a ritual.
rolling up something to smoke or actually putting smoke in the air. depending on what you're thinking about or what your intention is in blowing stuff. These things are all rituals, right?
Right.
Depending on what you're thinking about and what your intentions
Intentions
Come
are.
on. That was heavy.
100%.
Don't speed past that one. That was a gym
that
right
was
there.
a bar.
For sure, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Man.
And we all, you know, and all of us have these opposing sides, right? You know, everything that I've done in my life hasn't always been
On the up
quote
and up.
unquote good.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
certainly everything I've done hasn't been bad. Have I done things with not the greatest intentions? 100%.
Yeah.
Have I done things with 100% good intentions? Absolutely.
Yes.
I think in the music industry or the industry, as we call the entertainment industry, it becomes something to talk about or a point of to
A
contingency,
focus.
a
Yeah.
focus, only because we amplify messages.
Right.
And in regards to what might be considered an occult message or whatever, like you don't, from what I've seen, you don't even need to be somebody that believes in the occult or the Illuminati or whatever the hell it is, right? Because Illuminati just means it's
Enlightened.
enlightened in
Right.
Latin. But when you think about an individual that's standing in front of 30,000 people
With the influence.
with the influence,
Yeah.
and whether or not you believe in these things or not, you can be used as a beacon to translate so many messages.
Conduit.
Right.
Which is, I mean,
And a
in some,
puppet.
Yeah.
we've talked about this at the lounge too. Like when you program something, a metronome, that's what they use to hypnotize. When
Absolutely.
you program music, most people, like Jay Dilla's always so highly respected because he never really used a metronome or quantized his drums.
Right.
His drums all have a natural swing.
Yeah.
When you quantize those drums like that, you program everything in this 4/4 swing or a multiple of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You double time it, you know, whatever.
Entrainment.
So
Yeah.
it induces some type of trance to begin with.
Exactly.
So if you're talking about kill, 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 murder, 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 death, death, you're gonna, whether you go out and commit that or not, you're still gonna get some of those messages subconsciously,
Right.
whether or not you realize it.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, I've heard people talk about you have a glass of water. If you speak bad things into the water, you change the molecular structure
Absolutely.
of the water.
Right.
So it's the same thing. It's the same
Japanese
thing.
doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, so it's the same thing, I think, with music. So, you know, to answer your question, yeah, I believe that I've been in places around certain people, around, you know, and we're not going to get into individuals necessarily, right? But yeah, I definitely believe there are things within the music industry, whether or not it's one giant conglomerate that's cloaked and sitting in a room somewhere,
With
like, we're
robes
going to
on.
do this.
Right.
But there's definitely an overarching desire to have certain messages put out through music, through movies. Our brother Marvin is an actor.
Yeah.
You know, and there's things that are utilized in order to shock people into attention.
Right.
And the bottom line is, like, there's about 6 to 8 subjects that you can revolve around as a rapper, as an MC, as a singer, that are for sure going to have you.
That's going to connect.
That's going to connect to people.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, we live in a world where some of those things aren't necessarily, like I said, good.
Positive. Yeah.
Good or positive.
Kron, your thoughts?
Well, you know, what the brother Chase is saying is pretty profound, because if you think about anything when it comes to the arts, and especially music and especially sound,
Yeah.
whether it is a ritualistic ceremony or a church service, right? Or even at war, there is a sound that signifies those things being what they are.
Mm.
And the intentionality behind them, I think, is the most important part. Like what you brothers were saying about what you're going into it thinking, and the point of conclusion,
Right.
right?
Right.
That is based off of how you start,
Right.
right? You know, you like to, like Steve Covey says something in one of my favorite books, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says that you always start with the end in mind. So when it comes to music,
Yeah.
right, and sound wave, and like I say, whether it be gospel, whether it be the trumpet at the beginning of war, which
Whether
is
it
being
be a
used,
voice.
whether it be a voice,
Yeah.
it's about what is the conclusion to be drawn from that.
Right.
You know, like the brother said, if you're starting with a message of, you know, murder, 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 kill, 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 or like what Crook said, that when we talked about his message and his message being love,
Right.
the intentionality starts at the beginning,
Right.
and then that reverberates through what the end is going to be.
Right.
You know, so I think that whether we know it or not, as artists, and we're all artists sitting here, our spiritual man and our spiritual place has to be positioned in a proper context. And what I think is giving way to the conversation and the idea about demonic forces is in the music industry and in film and television and visual art and oration and all that has to do with the individual and their intentions for the conclusion
Absolutely.
of what they're trying to
The result,
the
the
result. What are
response.
we trying to
Yeah.
what are we trying to do? You know, and you know, here on the West Coast, you know, we are known for having a certain intention, you know, especially from a musical space, you
Yes.
know, and hip hop, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I think, you know, what separates a Crooked Eye or a you know, for say a Kendrick Lamar or somebody like that, right? Who from the West Coast, from quote unquote the hood, Compton and Long Beach, right? You take those things. Those places are places that have, you know, very high vibrations of light and for what the world perceives as dark as well. You know, so it turns itself back to what is the individual's intention.
For sure.
So let me ask the question to the entire panel. Do you think the West Coast is responsible for putting PTSD on wax?
I don't know if it was.
I don't know if we're responsible for it. I think
but
it was
we
happening
definitely
before.
did it the best.
Well, I mean, we definitely mastered it, right?
I think that, you know, sometimes we gotta back the camera up and look at the wide shot
Mm-hmm.
and see, okay, you got the artist, but what about the financier?
Okay, please.
You know what I'm saying?
Talk
Please,
about
come
it.
on.
Talk about
So-
it.
Come on.
You know, they gotta be held accountable for what they're mass producing because they understand propaganda.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they understand that propaganda is made to make people do something, buy something, or believe something.
Ooh.
Okay, say that again.
Go
Do
ahead.
something.
Do something, buy something, or believe
All
something.
right.
Okay.
That's why they create
Wow.
propaganda. And then
Right.
I don't want to see hip hop being used as a tool or weaponized against the community that it comes from.
That it
Right.
comes from, that produces
And
it, that
I
creates
think
it.
that's what
Yeah.
that's when we get into like, okay, that's not real hip hop. That ain't real hip hop because you
Yeah.
start to feel as though it becomes propaganda for death or prison culture. It becomes
Yes.
propaganda for all the things that are detrimental to our community.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it's not that it has to be void of that because that's a reality.
Right.
But when it starts to become propaganda for that,
Right.
you
That's
know,
a problem.
and
That's
it
a
does, and then it's just not the truth. Because even within the communities that some of those dark energies are prevalent in or exist in, that's not all it is,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
We don't talk about the love.
Yeah.
When we started talking about Brother Suge, you know, people always want to focus on whatever his reputation was outside of all the good things that he did.
Right.
It's almost like
how
they
many
didn't
lives
exist.
he actually changed?
Right.
How many people he got out of messed up situations? Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
one sitting right here.
there
Right.
you go.
Right.
How about
Right.
that? You know,
Right.
so it's like, yeah. And then it starts to become propaganda in order to subjugate people to poverty.
Yeah.
Or low frequency.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite verses in the Bible is, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge."
Right.
Yes, sir.
And I think part of the purpose of Smoke and Mirrors podcast is to demystify what has been villainized.
Okay.
So if you go deep into this demonic stuff,
Right.
all of it is Egyptian.
Mm.
So I remember a few
Okay,
years
so
ago.
you got to explain that a little bit further, right? Because you're talking about how when Egypt was colonized, or
No. I'm talking about when Egypt was black, when it
Okay.
was Kemet,
okay,
right? A few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, Jay-Z came out with a T-shirt on or a hoodie that said, "Do as thou wilt."
okay,
Now, that is a statement from Aleister Crowley,
right,
who called himself the great beast,
Right.
has a book called Lucifer,
Right.
right? When you look into Aleister Crowley, he was an Egyptologist.
Mm.
He dressed up like Egyptian pharaohs.
Right.
See, white folk always want to get into our stuff, right?
Here we go.
And then demonize
There you
it.
go.
Here we go.
There you go.
I'm just,
Go ahead.
I just got to tell the truth.
Hey, man, listen.
They want to demonize it, so we don't follow it. You know why? Because they're the benchmark of our society. So, how can something that illuminates, which is a euphemism for intelligence, brilliance? You remember when we was kids, they said, that little boy bright.
Right.
He's illuminated. Do you see?
Right.
The term Buddha, the enlightened one.
Right.
Jesus, the morning star.
Right.
It represents knowledge, illumination. So what they've done is villainized our culture while at the same time usurping it.
Mm.
You see? And because we're afraid of books that our religions don't endorse, we won't read those books. We won't study the information to find out for ourselves what it actually means.
Right.
That's like the difference between a dictionary and an etymological dictionary.
Yes, sir.
A
Yes, sir.
dictionary it should be called a definitionary
A definition.
because it's just giving you definitions of words.
Yeah.
But when you get into the etymology of the word, you start to find out like,
the root,
wait a minute,
structure of
this
the
word
word. You
mean
start-
what?
Yeah, exactly.
And words
Yeah, I
matter.
love the
And words
etymology.
matter because
Yes.
we spell
Cast.
and we cast them when we write in rhymes.
Better believe it.
You see? So I think it's very
Especially
important.
if we're programming on a 4/4 time scale.
Especially, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a big deal to go into the history of it and really uncover its origins and then find out how black those origins get.
Right.
Right.
And you say, well, damn,
think-
now
I think
I'm
that's what-
evil?
Yeah. But I think you make a really good point, but I think that's also bringing it back to the music, which makes, brothers like Crooked Eye so important. Like, because, some of the rhyme, not even some of them, a good portion of the rhyme schemes and the information contained within those rhymes is so multi-layered. Like,
Yeah.
Crooked is very gifted at creating double, triple entendres.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
three or four different double, triple entendres within the 8 to 12 bars. You might get 16 meanings from
Absolutely.
Yeah,
from two
bro.
things that the brother
Right.
said.
Yeah.
and that's
him and Andre 3000.
oh yeah, no, for sure.
They both masters of
Thank
for
that.
you.
sure,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure,
Thank
for
you.
sure. And is that something like when you're writing rhymes, right? Is that something that you? And I want to use this word because, like I said, it may come easy to you. I've never actually recorded with you,
Right.
but I know that brothers like Razcast, who I know personally,
Raz.
and
Yeah.
shit comes fast to them. I mean,
Yeah.
you would think the type of rhymes that this brother's writing, it take him a long time to write, but it's not. Is that something that you labored through as an MC, or is it something that is that one of your gifts that he just comes to you and you wait and you look back like, wait a minute. Oh shit! I just did 4 or 5 different.
Yeah,
Do you see the word, to add to what Brother Chase is saying, do you see the words in that way?
I think it's the Malcolm Gladwell thing.
Okay.
The 10,000 hours.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. Okay.
I think it happens fast because you've been doing it for decades.
Mhm.
It's the decades that makes it fast. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because you've been studying, you've been going in. I put up my shots every night.
So you got to process.
I'm like Mamba, rest in peace.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
I
Rest
put
in
up my shots every night. I go in my backyard. I got my Bluetooth Dre beat speaker. I play beats.
Still to this day.
To this day. And I go in there and I come up with things that may come out or may never come out. The music, it might not. But
Still, right now, today, I
I did
that's
it
your
last night,
process.
and I'm gonna do it tonight when I leave here. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Because,
There you go. That's why you are truly a master.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
Insane.
because you
insane.
you have to be a student
Yes.
in order. Even when you master a certain level, you might be a black belt, but you ain't a red belt. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So even when you master certain levels, you still got to be a student. And then my idea is, if I want to break the rules, I got to learn them first.
Right.
Mm.
You know, as an artist, I want to learn all the rules so I can bend them and break them and twist them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What were
And
some of the artists that informed or you learn those rules from or study to get some of those rules?
Um,
And not just musical artists, but just people.
yeah,
in general.
just man, listen, dog. I've been listening to Curtis Mayfield album. Curtis,
Yes.
that's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Masterpiece.
Yes.
So when I go from a masterpiece like that,
Yeah.
and then I go and listen to a rap album that came out, it doesn't compare,
No.
and it should, because us as MCs and writers, we on the same frequency as them,
Yeah.
as all the greats. You know what I'm saying? We have the
Or
capability
should
to
aspire
be.
to be for sure.
We have the capability to be. You know what I mean? And we got to look at our art form that serious.
Right.
You feel me? So, but early on, you know, it was everybody, man. I was soaking up so much stuff and learning new things. You know, Rakim.
Of course.
You see, you learn from Rakim and you say, okay, what he just did, I never thought of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that the ingredients that make up every MC, you're going to find some of the influences from their favorite artists in that recipe.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, and then I just dived into it like, okay, so what is this? All right, these are inside rhymes. These are outside rhymes. This is a slant rhyme. This is a metaphor. This is a punchline. This is an entendre. This is a, you know what I mean?
Break it down.
You start really diving into what you're doing and being able to explain what you're doing technically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Explain, if you don't mind, not to cut you off, brother. Explain, because you said something that was just blew my wig right now. What's an inside rhyme and an outside rhyme?
okay, an inside rhyme. Let's take M for example. He said, I'm zoning off of one joint. One joint is a 2-syllable outside rhyme. One joint. I'm zoning off of one joint. Stop in a limo. Hop in a window. Shop in a demo. At gunpoint. So the gunpoint and the one joint, those are the outside rhymes.
Outside,
The stop in the limo, hop in the window, shop in the demo, those are the inside rhymes.
Go ahead,
Right.
okay.
You feel me?
Wow.
And slant rhymes are rhymes that are like, they either call slant or you could refer to them as imperfect rhymes. They don't rhyme all the way perfectly.
Right.
Yeah.
But
They
they
sound like they rhyme.
like they rhyme.
An example.
You know what I'm saying? Crash and fast.
Right.
They don't really rhyme perfectly.
But the
Right.
inflection.
But the inflection
Yes.
and all that. So you can use slant rhymes. You can, like, all these tools you can use to songwrite. Even if you're just talking about going to the liquor store, these tools are available to you to use.
right.
Right.
And, you know, an old guy told me on the east side of Long Beach, he said, if you want to get out of here, you got to try to be the best at something.
Mm.
And I come from that era where we wanted to be the best. We wanted to create a vibe.
Right.
We wanted to rock parties. We wanted to rock jewels and drive whips, but we wanted to be the best.
Right.
Right.
And that right there is what drove us into study.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And figuring out how to layer these concepts and these rhymes. You know, I got a song called The Life of a Bandana. And it's kind of like the song that Nas made, I Gave You Power.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Where, you know, I bring the bandana to life.
Right.
To where, what would this bandana say if it could talk?
Being from Long Beach is most likely a blue bandana.
see what I'm
but I
saying?
ain't-
Being from Long Beach, most likely it's blue. Yeah.
Yeah, Long Beach don't. That's all that's in Long Beach.
I love it.
But these are the kind of things that I tell young artists. I'm like, bring something to life when you rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if that book could talk? Make a song about it.
What would
Wow.
the book say?
You know what I'm
What
saying?
would the book have to say
But then you
about
got to
its
read the book in
contents?
order to figure out what it would say.
Feel me?
That's crazy. What would the Bible say about its contents?
What would the Bible say?
That's crazy.
Somebody call Razcast.
Somebody get Royce the 5'9" on it immediately.
I actually got a verse that starts in Genesis and ends in Revelation.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
as I'm telling the story. It's on a song called Backstage, me and Joel Ortiz. Shout out my boy Joel.
Is that from
Which
the
album is that on?
JFK, on the
Is that on
JFK
the
LAX album?
That's on the Rise and Fall album.
The Rise and Fall. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Nice.
I gotta
yeah,
get
you
that
check,
for sure.
yeah, but yeah, man, like it's just you gotta love it because if you love it, you're gonna stick with it. Good
Yeah.
times and bad times, you're gonna stick with it.
Right.
Whether you got inspiration or no inspiration, you know what I mean.
If you
So
love it, you're gonna stick with it.
that's the
that's the
first
key.
thing people need to do is
Right.
love it, and then start figuring out, okay, how can I make my mark?
Right. Right. Let me ask this question real quick. What do you think about the current state of hip hop? I've heard Exhibit say, it's in a sad state. I've heard a lot of MCs say it's not in a good place
Yeah.
in terms of artistry, in terms of creativity. What are your thoughts about the new Sexy Reds and all these different artists that are
We
out
love
now?
Sexy Red, man.
No
Don't do that.
disrespect.
Yeah.
No disrespect, Sexy Red. How you doing? I'm just saying
How you doing?
for what hip hop is, for what
When
it means.
when I was young, I would have been on here saying everybody whack.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it 100. When I was young, that's what I
us
would.
too, right?
That's what I would have said.
Right.
But now that I'm older, I've seen people go from this level artist to that level of an
Right.
artist.
Right.
So sometimes you got to give people time.
Right.
Time to grow,
mature.
time to mature, time
Yes.
to develop. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And there's no need for me to make a hasty judgment on MCs and artists in the game right now
When they're still in their
when they're
process.
still in their process.
Right.
You feel me?
Yes.
And another thing is there is a lot of dope artists, MCs on the male, female, however they identify. It's a lot of them that they just don't have the spotlight.
Like
So,
Rhapsody.
Rhapsody to me has a spotlight.
She's had,
she-
what do you
yeah,
mean?
You know what I'm
she's
saying?
Grammy
There's some people-
nominated.
there's
She
some
won a
people-
out there,
Grammy.
yeah.
She
But
might
I
not
think she
have
could
the-
be. I think she could be more. I
She,
think-
No,
she
for
definitely
sure.
Definitely.
could.
For sure.
But there's people that don't even have what Rhapsody has,
Right.
that are incredible.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's kind of like when we used to dig in the crates. We got to dig
To find them.
to find them, and then once we find them, we got to amplify them with our platforms. Hey, go check this out. Like,
Right.
when I'm on Twitter, X, whatever you call it now, I always have rap discussions every single day. And we talk about new artists or up-and-coming artists or underground artists, and we use the platform to try to give them some sort of a spotlight, and
Right.
maybe word of mouth will travel, and they'll be, discovered by many more people. And I just think we need a better way to get people from underground to noticed. I don't want to say mainstream, but underground and noticed,
Right.
Right.
Having some notoriety.
having some sort of. It would be great to me, man, if people could just pay their bills with their art.
How about that?
You know what I'm saying?
How
If
about
they
that?
could just pay their bills with their art
Right.
and not have to worry about, anything, they can just go create and they know everything is taken care of. I think that'd be great.
Right.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? So yeah, it's
Because
a lot.
everybody's not able to actually do that.
Yeah.
The people that
And I
dedicated
think-
their life to doing this that can't make a living at it.
And I think that as artists, our whole life and different perspectives and the same perspective, I think we could say safely that that's what determines success for an artist. Honestly, if you're a true artist and you love what you do, like you said.
Self-expression.
If you can pay your bills doing what you love
Oh,
to do.
absolutely.
I mean, what's that saying that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is very important. I've seen some of the discussions that you've had on Instagram
Yes,
and
sir.
on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, about the new and the unseen, the unheard artists. If just for a brief moment, if you could, give us some of the artists right now that are inspiring you, that people, whether they know or don't know about, we can give a little light to them right
My
now.
little brother's got a group called the Shoe Gang,
Oh,
Mhm.
man.
and they are students and they're robots. They work relentlessly. So anytime I could talk about them, I will.
Okay.
There's a kid named Sean Smith.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
crazy.
Not familiar.
You know
Not
what I
familiar
mean?
with him.
Sean Smith is crazy.
No,
Now,
the
you-
shoe gang, but not him.
You might not be. I know you're familiar with who I'm about to say, but this woman is crazy with it.
Who's that?
Sa Rock. Oh, my.
Sa Rock.
Sa Rock.
Oh, yeah.
She is absolutely.
She's amazing.
Amazing with
Absolutely.
it. So
Amazing.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, you know what I mean? And it's a variety of styles. Like just because I use syllables, metaphors, and entendres when I write doesn't mean I don't appreciate vibe music.
Right.
It doesn't mean that. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Right.
there's some people who are doing things that are amazing that, you know, aren't what we would call traditional MCing.
Right.
And I think that the older guys, such as myself, they got to stop talking down to the youth.
How about that?
You know what
Just
I'm
because
saying?
you don't understand what their output is.
Yeah, you
Their
know.
expression is their expression. You should
Yeah.
give them the space to do
Because
it.
what was we doing?
But
Expressive.
100%.
Same thing.
I would agree with you because there's I've worked with some of those artists that people go traditional MCs or hip hop purists and be like, man, what this ain't no fucking hip hop. What is this, right? But you got to understand that there's whether you consider it innovation or not, there's people that offer a different perspective, a different approach that there's an innovation on what is traditional. And anytime somebody has an innovation on something traditional, it's shunned at first.
And innovation is just another word for growth. And I think a lot of times we
Etymology
get,
dictionary.
we get locked into a certain style and we think that's all there is.
Right.
But in order to grow the art form, we got to allow
Some innovation.
some divergent perspectives as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And you talk about inside and outside rhymes. Some of those young kids, man, they doing it may not seem like it because the approach may be a little bit more lazy than traditional MCs, but
Yeah.
they got some very complex rhyme schemes and melodic approaches to this that's totally different than what we're used to.
Exactly.
So I would agree as somebody, as an elder statesman now in the game, or I look at it from a different perspective. One, I wanted to see where they are from start to finish, particularly when they come to popularity fast.
Right.
Because once you come to a hit record or popularity fast could be a curse as well, right? 'Cause you
Absolutely.
get locked into having to do a thing
Yeah.
that people want from you already,
Yeah.
and it takes a minute for you to kind of create that divergent path.
Absolutely.
What I wanted to ask you is, and this is something that me and Crondon talk about all the time, is like, and you touched on it, talking about some of those X or Twitter conversations. It's like, because hip hop is such a vast landscape and has so many years in it now, 50 years, I guess, which is probably
Give or
not
take.
exactly actually accurate.
Right.
It's probably
Give or
a little
take.
older than that.
Yeah.
But when you talk about it, right, like, you from Long Beach, there's Compton, Inglewood, Watts, South Central, and all the outlying areas. There's always an MC, a person that kind of set the foundation for a particular area or style that's unknown. The person that never really got there. It's like you heard about Lloyd Daniels back in the day as a basketball player, how ill he would have been,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying, stuff like
Right.
that. There's always that person. It's like, man, if you were just having a conversation strictly about MCing, like the person that kind of was that person for you. Like, who was that person in Long Beach or somewhere in one of the neighboring areas where you were like, man, this motherfucker is crazy.
And nobody knows about
And
it.
nobody
It was
really
a-
knows about it.
It was a few dudes that was just super crazy, but the crazier the guy, the more I knew I had to battle with him.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, so if there was a dude floating around Long Beach and his name was just crazy when I was young, that meant that, okay, that's the guy I got to take on.
I got to
Like
take him off.
Highlander.
You know what I'm
There can
saying?
be only one.
It was a homie, man. His name was Moses from
Okay.
Long Beach. Crazy.
Okay.
God Body MC too. And
Okay.
he was crazy.
It's a huge 5% community in Long Beach.
Yes, yes. So people don't know that.
People
They don't know. They don't know that Wu-Tang RZA came down there and signed the Black Knights,
Black
the
Knights,
North
yeah.
Star.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes,
That was a North Side Long Beach hip hop collective that was, 5% Nation and
Nice.
things of that nature. So yeah, we had a bookstore, bro. Shout out to my homie Elijah from Jordan Downs. He went to college on a football scholarship and ended up getting becoming a lawyer.
Okay.
But he wanted to do something to give back to the community, so he opened a bookstore on the east side on Atlantic and Hill Street, and in the heart of the east side.
Right.
And he painted it red, black, and green.
Wow.
And the bookstore is called Uhuru Sasa.
Okay.
I've been
You
there.
know what I'm saying? You been to Freedom Now?
Yes, I've been there.
Yeah, so that's Freedom Now in Swahili. And when we were young, we could go in that bookstore and get knowledge, knowledge itself.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? And everybody used to come in there and battle. And it would be dudes studying the Moor science. It'd be Christian rappers. It'd be Muslim brothers.
Right.
It'd be gang members. You know what I mean? Everybody would come to this bookstore and just go at it. And that is kind of what molded and shaped, who I became on the microphone. It's just
Right.
That explains a lot
That
because
explains a lot.
your subject matter is always multi-layered. Like
Yeah.
you
Sir.
go from some street to some utterly poetic stuff to some esoteric or knowledge of self or
Right.
something. You have this through line that kind of touches on all those subjects all the time, and it's like a push and pull thing. Like you know what I'm saying? Like most of your music, or at least from the time that I've known you, has always had the ability to do that, depending on the room you was in.
righteous.
So
yeah.
how we wind this thing down is I'm gonna ask for your top 3 cigars, and I'm gonna ask for your top 3 MCs.
Ooh, yeah. So we gonna start down there with Chase.
We start with you.
Right.
Top 3 cigars. Okay, the Cohiba Bahique.
Oh well.
Wow.
Then there's
The
that.
butter
Then
behike.
Then there's that.
You're talking about balling. Since we're talking about
So
balling.
you're going okay?
Yeah.
Ken Griffey did out the park.
Right.
Okay.
Well, shout out my brother Russell Peters.
Okay.
The comedian,
Yeah.
actor. You know what I mean? One day he just was like, "Yo, Crook, you got to smoke these." And I said, "Yeah, I like these." And then he's like, "You like them?" And then gave me a whole jar of them.
Wow.
So them at the crib.
When you
chilling.
have rich
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Yes. He gave you a jar of vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just gave me
A jar of them.
$2,000.
He just gave me 2,000. That's
Yeah.
all.
And I was like, okay. So he kind of got me hooked on those when it's a special occasion.
Right.
Right.
I like the Rocky Patel ALR.
Mm-hmm.
age limited and rare.
Aged, limited, and rare.
Right.
And I got to go with the Romeo and Julieta, man, just because that's what started it all.
That was
Yeah.
the
You know what
foundation.
I'm saying? That's
Right.
what started me off, man.
The
But
church
shout
era.
out Drew Estate. They always, keep me right. You know what I
Right.
mean? And they got a shady collab cigar.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they got a shady collab
Nice.
cigar.
I gotta get a hold of that, man. We gotta get a hold of some of them sticks.
And then your 3 MCs.
My top 3 MCs. All right, man. That's a hard question.
I know.
Because you know what it is, bro? If we went by decades, it's easier.
Right.
Because in this decade,
We
in
got a
the
little time if
80s,
you want to go by
in the 90s, in the 2000s,
Yeah.
but if you just gonna say like just the top 3,
Overall?
I already know Tupac is in there.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
I know Tupac is in there, period. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? He ain't going nowhere. Rakim is in there. He not going nowhere.
Okay.
And then number 3 is when it get really tough for me.
Right.
Because now I got to think about Cube, Scarface, Eminem.
You can only take one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you only could take one of them.
Only
you know
one
what I'm
of them.
saying?
That's tough.
That's really tough, bro.
That's why I said 3 instead of 5.
And Cube put me in his top 5 of lyricists.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
That makes
That's
sense.
all I remember
Cube
that.
is such a
I remember
writer.
On like a Earn Your Leisure or something. He
Yeah,
was
I
on
remember
Earn Your
that.
Leisure. And that really blew my mind. Like, you don't never know who's listening to what.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that right there, and I was like, damn, he's in my top 5 and now I'm in his.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
That's a crazy, like these are the accomplishments that mean much more
Than anything else.
than
right.
anything else.
Yeah.
I did shows with 80,000 people in the crowd in Dublin. I
Yeah.
did shows with 50,000 in the crowd in Japan.
Right.
Billboards, been on magazines, been on TV,
Yeah.
rapped with everybody.
Driven some really nice cars. Still
Driven
do.
some nice cars for 20-some years. You know,
Yeah,
come
thank
on,
you,
brother.
thank you. I'm very grateful. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
But it's like Cube, being in Cube's top 5 West Coast lyricists of all time, dude, that's crazy.
That's,
that's
crazy.
crazy.
So Cube is your 3rd.
So you're not
I
gonna.
might
You
have
still
to-
haven't said your third, by the way.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to go with Cube because
There you go.
Cube does not get his
Oh man.
props.
He's
He
the
doesn't.
author of the West Coast. I
Yes,
call him
he
the
is.
author of the West Coast.
Bro,
He's
Yes.
the one.
listen,
he's the
when we
author of
talk
it.
about storytelling,
Yeah.
Crondon,
Come on.
when we talk about storytelling, we
He's the
always
author.
bring up Slick Rick, we bring up
Biggie.
Nas, we
Oh,
bring
yeah.
up Biggie.
Yeah.
Ice Cube
Cube.
is one of the greatest storytelling
Hands
rappers
down.
to ever touch the game.
Once
Well,
upon
if
a
I think about
time
it,
in
if you
the
think about,
projects,
if you think,
yo.
but if you, but even before
Damn near had
you
the
gotta think
record
about
hole.
this. If I think about
on the door.
Who is it?
right. right.
Gotta give him his.
Cube, it's and the beautiful thing I think is in ways serendipitous, right? If you think about Cube, his storytelling, all of us growing up on the West Coast, that's why I say he's the author of the West Coast, because he narrated our life
Yeah.
like none other and first. And if
At
you think
critical
about
points,
if you
too,
at
right?
critical points, and if you think about not only the records that he did with the group NWA and solo, but the records that he wrote, right, before we knew who he was particularly, you know what I'm saying? Something like Boys in the Hood or something like that, right?
Crazy.
Which again, just so you say, Once Upon a Time in the Projects, Boys in the Hood, the list goes on and on, right?
My summer vacation.
My summer vacation,
Come
right?
on.
He was
Colorblind.
he was creating narratives that were not only relatable to us in our lives, right? But he was also painting the picture for those that could not see.
And didn't know, right?
And
He was
did not know
articulating
what we were
stuff
going
that
through.
was going on that nobody really knew about.
Right.
It's he's in my top 3, top 5 always, because I
Which
consider.
leads us to crime,
No,
Doug.
no,
Leads us to
no.
crime.
That's a question for our guests. That's a question for our guests. Everybody got to answer that.
That's for you. That's for all
Oh,
of
no,
us.
you know how I see too, bro.
For me, that's
I'm over here
crazy.
thinking like, damn. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's crazy.
That's a crazy
That's
question,
crazy
buddy.
question, brother. 'Cause I got more questions for Crook. Now, see, look.
No, don't do that. Come on.
Yeah, Cube, honestly, I'll go 1 to 3 because Cube, from what I'm saying right now about him, his influence on me as an artist is like none other. Like I redid, those that know my music career and my rapping, I redid Steady Mobbin'. You know what I'm saying? Because that was, one, I had a group called Strong Arm Steady.
Right.
And
I remember
then,
that.
And then, Steady Mobbin' for me was, it just changed me as a man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it was things that I was going through at that particular time, individually growing up in South Central, and I think when you look at Ice Cube, and again, how he was able to tell the narrative in music and in film,
Yes. Yes.
to write something like Friday, right? To play a character like Doughboy.
Yeah.
Him and DJ Pooh, who, again, DJ Pooh, if you know his history and his influence on the West Coast,
That's
you know
a
what I'm saying? It's
forefather of hip-hop
Come
in the
on.
West,
He's a
period.
forefather,
He's
and his
Absolutely.
musical sense
For sure.
was something that stretched the gambit of not only what quote unquote the cliche of gangster rap, but also of true lyricism. You know what I mean? From Ice Cube to Deadly Threat.
Right.
They DJ Pooh understood what lyricism and artistry was from our perspective growing up in South Central Compton.
100%.
Okay, so
Inglewood.
top 3 cigars, top 3 MCs.
Okay,
We
I'm
ready?
sorry. I can go on and on. So Cube would be number 1. I'm gonna start with artists. Cube would be number 1. I would probably have to say Big Daddy Kane.
Ooh.
3 cuts in your eyebrows trying to wild out.
Yeah. Big Daddy Kane, because he
Yes.
he
I grew up with the folk. My brothers like
He
a cameo,
embodied
entertainer, Brady
what-
Kane, and never have no problem.
right.
Understand me?
He I think he was one of the first to be extremely lyrical. I mean, besides Rakim.
Even if I stutter, I'm going to still come off.
Right. He was extremely lyrical, but at the same time, he was extremely commercially viable
Yes.
And relatable.
and relatable.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Like he kind of, not kind of, but he made being being completely lyrical at the same time being very relatable.
Commercially viable.
and
yeah.
commercially viable, and I don't think he gets that credit,
Yeah.
Geez, my God.
Number 3.
Okay, number 3.
I'm
glad I went with Ice
I'm
Cube
picking
1.
your brain right now.
Right, easy,
Like
easy.
I'm using telepathy right now. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
glad-
He's gonna say.
He's gonna say G-rap. Now, let me see.
No. I would have to say
G-Rap.
G-Rap. Yeah, no, I know, right?
G-Rap.
Oh, one of the
Yeah,
illest.
golly, wow. But I would really have to put I I would have to say Nas,
Ooh.
Yeah.
because Nas,
Yeah.
you know,
Took one
much
of
like
mine.
Big Daddy Kane in
Yeah, I'm gonna
his
say
era.
Nas is in my top 3 too.
Yeah, like much like Big Daddy Kane, if you think about it, you know, because I always look at rap, like he said, like Crook said, in the decades, but more so than the decades, I look at the shifts, right?
Right.
Like when did what we do shift? Who shifted it? Like Ice Cube shifted it,
yes.
like none other,
Seismic.
right? He just shifted,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What rap looked like, what it sounded like, what it said,
Yeah.
the message in it, he shifted it. Big Daddy Kane did as well, like, you know, with his commercial viability as well as his lyrical content that was, you know, stratospheres above what people were doing at that time. You know, taking nothing away from the greats like Chuck D and KRS-One and all of that, who had extreme messages, but what Kane was
my
doing
time.
lyrically. But okay, and then Nas, because what he did was, I mean, so many things that he did with that first album, right?
Jeez.
Illmatic, but he shifted. Like it's something that he took what Kane and Rakim had did, and then
Up leveled.
he took it up a notch
Yeah.
while infusing what was really cool in the hood.
Yeah.
The cool, like the cool factor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the dope boy cool mixed with the hip hop cool.
Right.
You know what I'm
Mixed
saying?
with some knowledge.
Mixed
Oh,
with a
for
lot
sure.
of knowledge.
was the huge
That's why
part of it.
Pac is in mind, the knowledge and the
Yeah.
Right, the
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah.
And Pac had that as well, right? But Pac took it to a level that even Nas couldn't take it to.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
just because he was so diverse.
Yeah.
In his artistry and what he was able to do and able to say and the chances he took. But Nas, to me, like he brought a cool thing that was at that time, you know, I would say, you know, because it got real grimy, you know, especially, you know, after, you know, it was very focused on knowledge of self, consciousness and all that. Then it got a little grimy a little
Got
bit.
hella grimy.
It got hella grimy,
the
right?
Escobar era was
And
very grimy.
The
then he
Escobar
came-
era was
And then he
grimy.
came, right. And then he came and with Illmatic, man, like he told the story of again, like how Cube did for South Central. I think he did for New York,
Oh,
Queens
no
in particular,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where he took you there, like you
Yes.
listened to Nas.
You were in Queens.
You were in
Yes.
Queens.
When you were listening to
You know
that
what I'm saying?
Stillmatic,
You listen
yeah.
to New York State of Mind, and you
Come
listen
New
to
York state of mind.
right.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? To where
Represent.
Memory lane.
and then like he influenced even
One
like you know
Love.
what when you
One
talk about
Love.
like what rest in peace, you know, the great Nipsey Hussle was going to do. His first album was for one time was going to be called the South Central State of Mind because of what that story that you know he was telling, with the story that artists like Nip told and so Nas, okay,
Okay.
and
So
now
your three cigars.
my top 3 cigars. Number 3, I would say the Lampert Dom Padron.
Okay.
Bingo.
Is number 3.
Hey, whoa, putting it in the air currently.
Is number 3.
Maybach.
Yes.
The
The Maybach.
the cherry
the
wood,
Maybach,
like
right.
this.
Cherry wood.
and geez, wow.
You just got 2 more. Come on, brother.
2 more. I know. Forgive my time. Then it's gonna have to be the
He's
the
struggling.
Olmec,
The
Ooh.
Olmec.
the Olmec,
Maduro Claro.
Yeah.
the Olmec Claro.
Okay.
Something about that cigar, and I've smoked a box of them or
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Every time I smoke it, I'm reminded why I love it.
Ah, it's ridiculous.
It's incredible.
I'll give you that.
It's an incredible cigar.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nick and Foundation. And then number 1 is a Cuban cigar. It's the Romeo and Julieta Y Churchill.
Why Churchill is fire.
Okay.
The Y
100%.
Churchill. So those are my
Okay.
3.
Chase.
I'm shutting up now.
MCs, you know, I had some time to think about it. I'm glad you guys took your time with it. So my top 3 MCs would be, in no particular order, but my top 3 MCs are Rakim, Chuck D, and then Nas.
Oh, wow.
Chuck D.
KRS-One, and, you know, Pharoah Monch, and
Jeez.
so many people, you know, Coogee Rap, they're all, it was slightly after that, but I would say Rakim, I mean, he lives up to his moniker. He's the God MC.
No
Period.
You
question.
know, in terms of like rhyme scheme, content, you know, he's got his pocket is one of the best pockets ever. You know,
Crazy.
that's actually why I appreciate Nas so much as well, is because their ability to what we call run the beat over
Mhm.
is like, you know, they just the way they combine lines sometimes is just unheard of. And then doing witty things like people always talk about put 7 MCs, put them in a line, add 7 more brothers and think they rhyme, take 7 more before I go for mine. And that's 21 MCs. Like that was incredible, right? But he's done so many songs like that. He's a song called Lyrics for Fury that was just
Lyrics for
yeah,
Fury.
That's on my playlist right
One of
now.
the greatest lyrical explosions ever.
Yeah.
I never hysterical I did for a lyrical perfectionist. I was like,
Yeah.
I literally lost my mind. I might have stopped writing for like 2 months. Like, there's no way I can't do anything close to that.
it's one of my favorite songs,
Maybe the same
period.
for me, right?
Yeah.
So Rakim, Chuck D, because as an artist, we always had so much social, political commentary.
Yeah.
And the fact that Public Enemy was able to, much in the way that Q was able to take stories about South Central
Yeah.
and popularize them and make them commercially viable. And Big
Yeah.
Eddie Kane was able to take, you know, suave 5% Nation of Gods on Earth information and make that commercially viable. I think Chuck D and PE at their height, you know, in terms of like social, political commentary in music,
Yeah.
I mean, they define it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Not just
absolutely.
hip hop, but just, you know, we talk
And the
about
Bomb Squad with him. Oh my god.
Oh, and the Bomb
Jeez.
Squad
My
with him,
God.
which is, you know, part of
Yeah.
the reason why Cube is so instrumental, because Cube was the first West Coast artist to really
Yeah,
take that
yeah.
Bomb Squad sound to another level. So
Yeah.
Rakim,
Nas.
Nas, and then my third
Chuck.
is Chuck. I mean, my second, yeah, and
then your three-
Nas because it was just really relatable. You know, where I was when Nas first came out was in '94.
Yeah.
You know, I never really heard anybody from my era that put together, you know, it's one of the first no skip albums.
It's like a Thriller album
Yeah,
for
just
hip hop.
never
really
10
is,
songs.
man.
It's like a
all
Thriller
my,
album.
all my favorite
You put the
producers
Thriller
at the
album on
time.
and go all the way through. You put the Nas album on and go all the way through.
All my favorite producers, the content, you know, everything from stories, the Slick Rick X stories like One Love to
Jeez.
Represent, and you know, just everything. It was just, you know, Nas was something like literally a perfect album, and he did it again. You know, right after that with Stillmatic, it was just, you know,
Crazy.
Yeah.
It was
crazy.
written as much.
it was written. It was written. Sorry, it was written.
It was written. Yeah, he
Which
did
is,
it
you know,
again.
which
Jeez,
people
he did it
kind of
twice.
slept on when it first came out, but man, it was written
It's
as another.
aged nicely.
Almost no skips, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
Right.
And then my top 3 cigars would be, one of them is a Foundation cigar, the Tabernacle Broadleaf
Mhm.
is one of my favorite cigars. I would say the H. Upman 54 Cuban.
Yes.
The H. Upman 54
Jeez, that
is
thing
an
is
amazing
great.
smoke.
Jeez.
And I'm not the biggest fan of Cuban smokes, right? Probably because I can't afford them all the time. But if I could,
Come on,
You would be on
stop
that.
it.
yeah, no,
He'd be on that.
I'd be on that consistently. And so that's 2. And then my third one, what was my third? You know what's crazy? The Caldwell Long Live the Queen.
Long live
loved
the
that cigar.
Queen. Woo.
It's a great
He
cigar.
loves that cigar.
It
everybody.
is amazing.
He loves
And
it.
think about cigars, right? When we come back 6 months later, we have this question. We'll be like, you know what?
Exactly.
I've changed
I've
mine.
changed,
Right,
but right now,
right.
those are my 3
Okay.
Right.
for
Nice.
sure.
So my top 3 MCs, you got 2 of them.
Okay,
Nas and Rakim.
okay.
Mhm.
And then I'm going KRS-One.
Yeah.
Wow.
The teacher.
I've got to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're Joe Williams, so yeah, the
He's-
teacher.
To me, KRS is the most simplistic, intricate MC
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then his pocket work
Yeah,
Ain't
is
no joke.
bananas.
it's crazy.
You feel me? So,
Yeah.
and social commentary, lyricism battle,
Yeah,
just
anything you want to do.
anything you want to
He's
do.
with all the
Yeah.
smoke.
He's
Yeah.
like the Swiss Army knife
All the
of,
smoke
of,
and mirrors.
of
Yeah.
MC.
He's with all the smoke. and mirrors,
He
for
got
real.
all of it right
Yeah,
now, right?
He does.
So I love those 3. Again,
Cigars.
And just on Karis really quick,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't it be safe to say that KRS-One was the first MC to make education cool?
that's what I'm
He
saying. Like,
coined the phrase or term
Edutainment.
edutainment. That's great.
Yeah,
KRS-One.
That's
His
one of
name
my
is
favorite albums,
he's-
Boogie Down
point.
Production.
He's
Yeah.
the teacher.
He's the Edutainment is one of my favorite
He's the
albums.
teacher.
That taught me
what
I
about
never
why
ate
is
beef
that?
after that.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Come on
was
with
a
it. I hear
catalyst
you
for
over
me.
there. Go ahead.
What about why is that?
Why is that?
Jeez.
How about you must learn?
Come on, you must learn.
I'm gonna put out a
Love's gonna
record
get you.
Yeah.
where I break down the Bible
Right.
and tell you the ethnicity.
Right.
Describe the
people.
genealogy
Right.
of Shem.
Shem, right.
Shem was
Like-
a black man in Africa.
Right.
When you
Right.
quote this fact, they can't laugh at Shem. Come on.
Right.
I mean,
right.
think about where we are in the streets when that's out.
Right.
Yeah.
you have never heard somebody get on record
Yeah.
and talk about your genealogy and connect it to the Bible.
Right.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
So, of course, KRS-One. And then my top 3 cigars.
Okay.
Number 1, Arturo Fuente, Eye of the Shark.
You always tell me about this
Wow.
cigar, and I've never had it. I'm so mad.
Yeah, I ain't never had that one either.
I need to have
In
that.
the name of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, man. That one right there is crazy.
Okay.
So-
Sweet Baby Ray, which some new information came out on Sweet Baby Ray, by the way.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
Not right now.
Not now.
Don't fuck up the barbecue
I
sauce, man.
Is it canceled?
Is it canceled? Can we
cancel
no longer
Sweet
use
Baby
it?
Ray's?
Hey, yo, first of all, pause on his name.
Right.
Sweet Baby
Then
Ray.
my second favorite is a Cuban as well,
Okay.
and that is the El Rey del Mundo.
Oh, yeah.
Yet to have that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Graham crackers,
Yeah.
honey,
Yeah.
just oh my God, this is crazy.
All the
Right.
sweetness.
All
man.
the sweetness,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then my third favorite, I have to go Aganorsa Supreme,
Supreme
League.
League.
My God.
I almost bought
Yeah.
that today.
Sheesh.
That's, have you ever had that cigar?
Nope.
Ooh,
need-
I started to bring it for you.
Wow.
Boy.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's a
Great
good one.
cigar.
Yes.
I don't know why, because I honestly, I told you both that.
Yeah.
That was the cigar last year that knocked me out. And I
Yeah.
mean that flavor-wise,
It's crazy.
construction-wise, but even the strength of that joker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a
Man,
You gotta sit down for a
brother,
minute.
I
It's
was,
strong.
my
You gotta sit
legs,
down for a
bro,
minute.
I couldn't even, yeah. Bro. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Smoke and Mirrors podcast with myself, Zoe Williams, my brother Crondon, and of course, Chase Infinite with our special guest,
Crooked Eye.
Crooked Eye. Man, this
Crooked
has been
Eye.
amazing. And this is just the beginning. This is the inaugural episode. Stay tuned for more. We're going to keep cooking these great conversations.
You guys mind if I say one thing?
No,
Man,
go,
say
please.
everything,
Say and
brother.
close it.
And I just got to mention this. I'm narrating a cigar documentary.
Oh, no.
Oh,
we did.
wow.
Hold on.
Oh,
wait.
yeah, wait.
We
Hold
on.
can't
Yeah,
close
we can't
it. We're going
close
to cut
it.
that.
Yeah.
Close.
We can edit all
We
this,
didn't talk
right?
about,
Yeah, yeah.
No, hold on.
So-
hold on.
so
Matter
that
of
was
fact,
the
we can't
ending
close
of
this
it.
because two things. We talked a lot about the brother's history.
Yeah.
We got to talk about what he's doing currently.
Yes.
I know that you're working with Ethica and what you're doing with Ethica.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff that's going on. And you got to talk about the cigar doc. Come on,
The
please.
cigar
go.
documentary is called Smoke Big, and it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
You know, you can rent it, you can check it out. It covers cigar culture in Los Angeles.
And you narrate
Nice.
the entire.
and I narrate the whole
Now-
thing.
Nice.
Now tell us a little bit, Crook, if you will, brother. Cigar culture. First of all, the documentary is Big Smoke, right? I've yet to see it. And it covers, and I know about it. I've read about it. I was actually invited to the premiere too. I just couldn't
Yes.
make it.
Of course you were. You're crying.
You're
No,
Crondon.
I'm
So
just
did you
telling
get invited to the premiere?
Nah, I didn't
meaning-
get an invite.
I was just telling you I was invited.
I barely
I
got
mean,
an
it's cool.
invite.
I mean, you're Crondon. That's fine.
But I didn't. Okay, but
You didn't
okay,
go
Crook,
because you're
I didn't-
Crondon.
Okay, but Crook,
You're Marvin Jones. I'm sorry.
Brother.
In that world,
What-
he's Marvin
come
Jones.
on,
Yeah,
come on.
It's
Hold on.
Marvin.
So,
Marvin is unavailable.
That's hilarious.
tell us, brother, please, briefly, and for our viewers and everybody out there, the documentary you said, because you said it's about cigar culture in Los Angeles,
Cigar culture in Los Angeles, the brothers and sisters of the Leaf,
Yes.
right?
and my man Reem, who directed it, he actually went overseas, and you know, it's filled with business owners, cigar lounge owners, people who partake in cigars on a regular basis. You'll see Cedric the Entertainer in there. You'll see Guy Torrey in there.
Yes.
Nice.
You'll see a lot of people, you know, that you recognize, and they're talking about what they do with their leisure, and that's smoke.
Cigar.
It's a really dope piece, and you know, I'm proud to be a part of it because I learned things watching it. So I think that the people who watch it will learn about, you know, how cigars are made, and they will learn about, you know, the culture in Los Angeles that, you know, I haven't seen a documentary on, you know, cigar culture in Los Angeles.
And being from Los Angeles, all
Yes.
of us, and being cigar enthusiasts, would you say that cigars and the cigar culture is a big thing, especially in our community, or is it? Are you seeing now a resurgence or a new development of it?
It's,
Because you've been smoking a long time.
I think it's booming.
Yeah.
And I think it's just something that people aren't aware of. When they come to LA, they say, okay, I got to go here, I got to go there. Back in the day, it's like, oh, I got to go to Roscoe's, I got to go here, you know what I mean? There's certain places you want to go and visit. But, you know, if you're looking for a good stick, there are many cigar lounges, and some are, you know, Black-owned, minority-owned businesses. And it's
Do you frequent a lounge?
I go to I used to go to the 2nd Street
2nd Street,
in
downtown.
in Long Beach.
In Long Beach.
yeah,
Yeah,
2nd
yeah,
Street,
yeah.
Long Beach. But you know, they got a spot called Helio by my crib that I go to. But my lounge is out either at Russell House, Russell Peters, or in my backyard. You know what I'm
Nice.
saying?
Okay.
Nice.
Because it's a lot of I have a lot
Tell us
of
you're balling without telling us you're balling.
Yeah, he's balling. I see him. If you follow him on Instagram, everybody, this guy, he has a very nice lounge at his house.
You know what I'm saying? I'm at
The
the
house lounge, by
Yeah,
the way.
man. And,
Yeah.
you know, you hear the birds chirping, bro.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
where we come from, that's
Right.
a peace of mind.
That's peace.
Yes,
But,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a dope documentary, man. And
How long ago did you guys do that documentary?
we did that last year. So it's fresh. And it just hit Amazon Prime like in a matter of days.
I'm
on
going
it
to watch
tonight.
that
I'm on it tonight.
tonight.
We
I'm
on it.
watching that.
That'll be great.
And if you
man.
listening,
Appreciate the
We
you
support.
on
watching
it.
this, make sure
Appreciate
you
the
watch
support.
Big Smoke.
Big
And then,
Smoke on Amazon Prime. And one more question. How many cigars do you smoke a day, bro?
there you go.
That
Be
means a
honest.
few.
Be honest.
Be honest. No judge. This is a judgment-free zone, my
Is this
brother.
a safe space, y'all?
This is a
Safe
safe
It's a
space.
safe
space.
space. It's a safe space. It's a safe space.
And we're all multiple,
You know
by
what
the
I'm
way.
saying?
Yeah.
Because I could do 2 or 3 a day, man.
Okay, so you
Easy.
like,
That's good.
yeah, you're on the light
Easy.
side.
You know what I'm saying? Easy. Like,
For the record,
that's
Zoe.
easy.
For the record, Zoe has 2 cigars before 12 o'clock every day.
yeah, like
Well, at 12 o'clock. I started 12.
12 o'clock. Okay, yeah.
Right.
dog, I could do it. But yeah, I mean, what you guys are doing here, I think is something that's much needed.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
These conversations are amazing. I like to smoke. I'm gonna be sending some boxes over when I get, you know,
Nice.
to the places I'm going to. You know what I
Right.
mean? Just
Nice.
so you guys can have some extra stuff to try out and smoke
Okay, he
on.
said it. Our cameras,
We
y'all
heard him.
got that, right?
Everybody,
Cameras
look at the
got that.
camera. Look at the
Okay, cool.
camera.
Yeah.
You heard him
For
say it. Yeah,
For
right.
sure. And then you was talking about the Ethica thing. They have
Yeah.
a music
Tell us
department.
about
They
that.
made me the head of the West Coast A&R over there, the head West Coast A&R.
Nice.
So what are they doing? Tell us a little bit about
They
what
got some
Ethica's
stuff
doing.
going on, man.
Ethica is because traditionally they're an undergarment company, right?
Yeah.
They're an undergarment company, and this is what I'll say. They have some talent over there. They have some artists over there, and they have some producers over there that are talented, and they're looking to get a shot. And, you know, I'm the type of dude that will go to war for the artists.
Right.
You feel me? My brother Joel Ortiz is the East Coast head of A&R over there.
Really?
Shout out Joel Ortiz.
Okay,
You know
shout
what
out
I'm
to
saying?
Another
Ortiz.
incredible lyricist and
Incredible
artist.
and brother. Yes, sir.
Yes, so, you know, doing that. I'm working on a few films, and I'm working with some artists on my own. And doing business with a lot of successful people, trying to be one of them.
Yeah.
That's basically
You're not trying, brother. You're
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
continuing
We
to
gonna
be
keep it
successful.
that, yeah.
I appreciate it.
We're talking about 25, damn near 30 years now of being successful at this
Yeah,
thing.
man.
Yes.
Yeah, man. It's a blessing. I live in the frequency of gratitude. That's what I do.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Amen.
Hey, amen.
But
I mean,
thank you guys for having me, man.
Oh, man.
Man, thank
Brother,
you for
no,
coming.
thank you for
and
coming and being our
now,
first guest,
Brother
man.
Zoe, if you want to take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the first episode of Smoke and Mirrors with my brother Crondon and, of course, Chase Infinite and our special guest, Brother Crooked Eye.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys tapping in. Stay tuned. We're going to come back with some more fire conversations
And lots of smoke.
And lots of smoke.
and lots of smoke.